Yo, everybody, what's going on? Hey, Vince Bugs down here in cold Tampa today with my boy Mike G and Ali Gilbert. We're coming on. But before I get started, let me cover a couple sponsors real quick. Planetary Design. Valentine's Day is coming up, and we have great gifts on Planetary Design. We'll have the link posted below, and it'll be running throughout the show, but it'll be in the body after the show's posted. Go ahead and get a Valentine's gift for your favorite guy. For those that like to drink coffee, and then Rack Studios. That's our other one. We're in the Rack Studio. Rack Mortgage is one of our other sponsors. Get on with Rack. Tell them know that Embrace the Power sent you, and welcome to the show. Ali, how are you doing?
What's up, guys? We finally made it. Yay.
Hey, too easy. Mike G, what's going on in this cold, balmy?
Man, nothing much, man. Just chilling. Welcome, Miss G. Oh, Miss Ali. Had to throw that in there, but welcome to another show and Embrace
Thank
the
you.
Power.
I had to change my name on Uber and Lyft to Allison, which is my full name, because they were always looking for a Mr. Ali, and they would drive right by me, and I'm like, hello, like, isn't my photo on your dashboard? Like, dude.
So, Ali, welcome to the show. Where are you located at?
I'm actually over in West Palm, so I'm on the other side of Florida. It's cold here too. It's really annoying.
Well, yesterday it was 78 degrees, and then like today, I'm like, what the hell happened? But you know what? It is what it is. Let's get into it. So, I was reading through your bios on Instagram, and I was tracking your website on Silverback website on, working with men. What got you into trying to chase the really complex issue of dealing with men and their TRT and all the other things that, encompass them? What made you focus on trying to work with men to improve their lives?
Mostly because you guys aren't that complex. Women are complex. We're like super complicated and a pain in the ass, right? So you guys really are easy. So I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, which is like this uber wealthy town, and everyone thinks that I was like, handed everything and grew up rich and loaded and all this stuff. I grew up what I call normal. So I don't identify as a Greenwich person, but I just happened to grow up there. And when you grow up in a town that is quite wealthy as Greenwich, there's a lot of people that can afford personal training, and that's a really great lucrative career. So after I graduated college, my degree was in exercise science. I was like, I want to train all the athletes, except that's not necessarily how you make money. And I was like, cool, what am I going to do now? So I ended up at a commercial gym in Greenwich, and I was training all the rich guys and their wives, and I just did not relate very well to the wives because I was not into like designer clothes or bags, or I didn't know the name of anything. Like, they're like, oh yeah, I just got this Birkin bag. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like, yeah, typical tomboy. So I realized that a lot of the guys I trained played golf, and I was like, oh, this is a sport that these guys take seriously, and they're very competitive about it. And I was like, I will learn about golf because I played soccer in college. So what is this golf all about?
What position did you play in soccer before I cut you off?
Center mid. I started looking into the Titleist Performance Institute, which had a golf fitness certification. And I was like, oh shit, this is actually like a thing. And so I just went all in on that and became the golf fitness person in Greenwich, which obviously was a great path to take. And it brought me all men. And I realized very quickly that even though they came to me saying, oh yeah, I want to hit the ball farther and blah, 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 it really was more about, I want abs. Like, how do I fill out my shirt? And I'm like,
right, so hold on. Let me ask you one quick question. So were you around the time when Tiger Woods started kind of dominating golf because he was physically more fitter than the older golfers that were pretty much, just going drinking suds and then going play golf? So, I mean, to me, Tiger Woods kind of changed the dynamic of golf because he came in because his dad was special forces. So when you're raised by an SF guy, you got to stay in shape. And so I think it kind of changed the dynamics.
Yeah, that was around 1996, I would say. So I was still in high school, but he literally changed like what the physique for golf would be. And it's funny because next to women, like women are usually the ones who are like, I don't want to get too big. Golfers are also like, well, I don't want to get too big. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, dude, you goblet squat like 30 pounds twice a week. I think we're good. And they're like, well, I don't want to look like Tiger. He's, really jacked. And I'm like, what? And they're like, he looks like a linebacker. I'm like, third string JV? Like, what is the reference point here? It was so funny. So at least he showed people, hey, you could actually play really good golf and look a certain way. So I kind of brought that together where my approach to training golfers wasn't just like, oh, let's get as mobile as possible and focus on like stretching and all that stuff. I was like, yo, let's lift heavy shit, get jacked, and you could still play really good golf. And so training all these guys, as we were talking about nutrition and, you know, abs and stuff like that, no one really had the discussion with them surrounding hormones and all that. And they're taking random supplements off the shelf and test boosters and all that stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, nobody's actually attacked this. So a business coach I was working with at the time was like, Ali, just take this and run. Like, you're a female in this men's health world. Nobody's doing that. So that was back in like 2012. And ever since, that's literally what I've focused on, is helping men have the scary, awkward conversations by delivering it with humor and being very direct and unfiltered. And now having up my own men's health event and everything, I just want to create a community where guys feel not so alone, because it's not like socially acceptable for them to talk about this stuff. Whereas women will just talk about their hormones and everything else as often as possible. Like, they get, you know, groups. Yeah. Like, you guys aren't walking in the locker room or like going out for drinks and being like, dude, my boner's not what it was. Like, you don't hear that.
No,
I mean, after a few drinks, so maybe, who the fuck knows? Like, damn, man, my shit left. No, I'm just stop. Did you learn how to play golf?
What's that?
Did you learn how to play golf?
I did. I was bartering with a bunch of pros, and I was like, how the fuck can I kick a ball that moves really fast, but this white ball that sits on the ground and does not move is the hardest thing to ever hit in my life. Like, it was very frustrating. So I haven't played in a long time, but like 4 hours, I mean, that's a long time.
You know, you brought up a good point about men don't like to talk about it. And this is, me and Mike were actually talking about this before the show. And I said, you know, it's so sad is that what you're discussing now about men trying to make sure that they keep their sexual fitness up, is that they didn't want to talk about it when people were hitting their 40s and 50s. And I told Mike, and it, you know, I could be off here because I don't have the data to prove it, but maybe back in the day when I was growing up, when men were starting to hit 50, how they were frustrated and angry, it was a lot had to do with that their body was changing and there was nothing out there to help them fix it. And then come the 21st century, you have a shelf full of junk to tell you that's going to help you be vibrant and vitality. But the question is, what's really junk and what really works? I mean,
well,
that's my struggle.
If it claims to do something that seems really good and too good to be true, it probably is shit. So that's the thing where, it's funny because I feel like we've evolved to the point where we all know that those things don't work. People still fall for fat burners. People still think that, you know, oh, if this claims to boost your testosterone by 1,100 points, then it must work. And I'm like, listen, if there's a fat burner that's legal, or any type of, you know, supplement that's legal that actually works the way it said, the way it claims it does, we would all be on it.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you know, and so what is testosterone? Really, what is it, Ali?
It's the primary male hormone. So women have testosterone just like men have estrogen, but it is responsible for all the male characteristics. It's like the winning hormone. It causes like the drive and the motivation and, you know, the way that guys are competitive and want to win and attack and all that stuff. That's what it's responsible for. So when that's suppressed, obviously that can cause a whole host of issues in guys, like anxiety and depression and just kind of this apathetic attitude and just kind of not caring about being purposeful. And I think that's what guys struggle with nowadays compared to when we all grew up in the 80s and the 90s. So,
yeah, but in the 21st century, and let's talk about it. In the 21st century, we have converted from being an industrialized based, get out, cut grass, get out, wash the car, get out, and into the microwave world. And a good friend of mine put this out in my history class one day, and I'll never forget this. He goes, The day we transitioned to the microwave was the day we started killing the men off. And I go, what do you mean by that? He goes, we've microwaved our society. Everything has to be about convenience. And then when you start to look at it, you don't walk anywhere. You do very little thing that causes physical activity. And we have a bunch of guys sitting around playing video games. All this is having mental, it's having physical, and it's having second, third order effects on the body. So by the time they're 50, you've really become just a gel of a person without any kind of masculinity at all, and that's just my take on it. And it's caused the sex drive of a lot of men to go down, because now if you can't turn the TV on without a commercial talking about Roman or this or that, and people go, oh, I don't like to talk about this, but it's being put in your face saying that there is a societal problem.
So people know what they're getting into when they message me. So they just offer the information up on a platter for me. And it's just normal conversation. But obviously it didn't start that way where I'm like,
right.
Hey, Vince, my name's Ali. What's your boner like? How are you? That's kind of weird. So I think people will be a little taken aback from that. So when I was training people in person, and we had that initial discussion of lifestyle, then it would gravitate towards, do you have any sexual performance issues? Which is how I phrased it. And either they'd offer yes or no, or they would change the subject and I would know, okay, we're going to take this, put it away, maybe come back with it later. So I would have a very open conversation. So if the answer was yes, then it would be, okay, how long has this been going on? Any medications that you're on, because that can affect it too. And that also bleeds into the conversation about stress and lifestyle and all that. So it is all connected. So for me, it's just very easy to bring up. And now I have a lot of guys that DM me of any age, really, who have maybe been struggling with this because they think that they're very unique and alone. And they don't realize that a lot of guys actually experience these issues. And even though it's not normal, it's actually really common. And I don't want them to feel like something's wrong with them and that there is a solution and there is a way out of that, because they always do feel like, oh my God, am I doomed? What should I do?
Right. I mean, and it's the stigmas of our society, right? So, I mean, stigmas happen. And the thing is that they don't know how to deal with it. They don't want to talk to people. And it's the same thing as it just correlates a lot of other things, when it comes to working. I'm a firm believer. I'm up in age. I'm a firm believer in going to the gym on a regular basis. I live in the gym, lifting weights, because I've learned that lifting weights, gets my rush, and I have to keep going at it, and that's just some of the things I try to tell younger guys all the time. And as you get older, back away from the alcohol.
Guys, when I was in person, but more so because my work has transitioned to a lot of online consulting, that it's very sensitive conversations over Zoom. So it's not like anyone's around. And when I was in a gym, I had an office, and obviously that was very private too. And I tell guys too, like, I'm very much like a vault, and I'm somebody that you can consider like a medical practitioner. So I'm not going to offer your private information or concerns to the world. So if I use them as an example, I'll change their name and just say, hey, I had somebody who was whatever age dealing with XYZ. So but it's just like, it's just normal.
Yeah. It's a workout instructor, AKA counselor, pretty much.
Oh yeah. Everybody who's in personal training will tell you there is a high psychological aspect of what we do. Very high, very high. And I think that's also why working with some of the women who basically just wanted to talk the whole hour was a turnoff for me in a sense. Because when you're an athlete and you come from a background of working hard during training, I'd get so annoyed that I'm like, how do you have a full-on conversation while you're squatting? That means the weight's not heavy enough. So it's not like a discussion mid-set that I'm having with them, So with the guys that I trained in person, like they would, get the work done, and then maybe off to the side, they'd be like, hey, blah, 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 regarding our discussion earlier, or they would just email or text me. So
how does nutrition play into all of this that's going on? Because, right now they got a bunch of people on Instagram saying, if your body's not doing this, or you need to do this to increase your sex drive, these are the foods you need to eat. So, are you sitting down when you lay a plan out? Because, everybody thinks there's a magic pill out there. And let me tell you, I tell people all the time, there is no freaking magic pill out there. You either are going to get after it in the gym, you're going to eat right and cleanse your body, or you're just going to have to deal with what you got. I mean, so how do you work that out, Allie?
Yeah, there is that, like, oh, you must have a secret or you guys must do something different. And it comes down to applying what you know scientifically works, but doing that over and over for long enough. And I think where a lot of people go wrong is they program hop, whether that's a nutrition plan or a diet that has a name. They try something for 2 weeks, decide either it works or it doesn't work, and then they switch. And so they're trying to find like that cult or, diet with a name that might be the way to eat, when in fact it's actually what works best for you. So if anyone says, well, keto worked really well for me, but yet they're back to being 10 or 15 pounds overweight, well, it actually didn't work because it's not something that you were able to sustain. So it has all these rules and these laws and everything, and that might be good for somebody who's not really moving around a lot and doesn't train hard. But if you need energy, you're probably going to want to eat some carbohydrates because they're a great energy source. So what we do is assess like where a guy is in terms of his body composition. People who have higher body fat, and so in a man that's about 20% or higher, can benefit from doing a lower carb approach with a lot of aerobic work, versus somebody who's a lot leaner can benefit from doing more carbohydrates and then kind of sprinkling in conditioning when they need it. But the leaner somebody is, the actually generally the better they handle carbohydrates. People are very quick to slash calories and cut carbs very, very violently. I think keto, for some people, means low carb, and for low carb, some people think that means no carb. So it's these extremes because we're an extreme society. Like if 100 milligrams of caffeine is good, then 600 must be better, because that's what I do. But
what?
Yeah, I actually take a lot of caffeine, like 400 milligrams a day. But
so how do you take it, by pill? How do you normally take your caffeine?
Oh, energy drinks.
Oh. See, everybody goes energy drinks. Everybody goes energy drinks are bad for you, but I have to have a Red Bull now and then when I'm in the gym, or I'll drink a different kind of pre-workout, because not the one with the jitters, but just to get me just that feeling. I want to get in there and get after it.
And then people who say that energy drinks are bad are the ones slamming drinks like alcohol on the weekends.
That is true.
Like, oh, so, really? Because like what you're drinking has been proven to actually be a toxic substance. This just has caffeine in it, bro. Like, what the fuck?
I hear a lot of that all the time. Hey, my football players always say, hey, that energy drink's bad for you. Well, I'm sure you've done enough bad things in your life too, kids, but you can't tell nobody yet. So we'll get past that. So let me ask you another question is about testosterone therapy. What is that and why is it, and does it really work?
So testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, is literally, the definition of it is to replace what you should already be biologically producing. So I think that the stigmas that are associated with that is because it is an anabolic hormone, and it was obviously declassified when Ben Johnson was caught using Winstrol, and then the whole steroid act in 1990 or 91 occurred.
You're talking about the track star, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all that, it's been stigmatized as cheating, or it's bad, or it's going to kill people and all that stuff. And a lot of those myths and misconceptions have been refuted. And there's a lot of research showing the detriments to having low testosterone. So does it work? Yes. And it works quite well. And it is one of the safest medications a man can take. However, he has to understand what the difference between therapeutic dose and anabolic steroid dose is, because guys who are taking super physiological doses, or who are professional bodybuilders, are on way higher doses than what therapeutic TRT is. Plus, they're on a bunch of other stuff. So when guys get afraid that either they think they'll look like that, which no, right, or they think it will be like a panacea where it'll fix all their issues, not necessarily. You still have to do the work in terms of dialing in your nutrition, getting your lifestyle together, all that stuff. So It literally is just supposed to replace where you should already be at, but due to various reasons, men are lower and lower than our grandfathers and dads were.
Right. And I mean, Jordan Peterson kind of covered it, and a couple other guys, Jocko, about men's grip strength, and different things are down in the 21st century. And a lot of it is because we're physically not moving like we need to be moving to keep our testosterone up, and our, and just be able to keep our physicality up. Because I think you talked to Chris Cavell or Cravell on his show or something. I think you visited with a guy named Chris, or there's some show you're on. Yeah, there you go. And so I'm gonna give him a shout out. Tell him I said hey, because he didn't realize he posted a video on Instagram, and I guess he was up in the Plant City area, and one of the guys that coaches with me was in the video, and he goes, and it was so great. He goes, if you're 20 years old and you don't have a six pack, you have failed your ancestors. And sadly to say, the guy that's in the video that's right there when Chris is saying it is one of the guys I coach with.
That is so. What a small world. Well, Chris lives in Tampa, so that makes sense.
So when he posted it, I went, "Oh my God!" Social media for men. Before I get into women, social media for men has been detrimental, because every time guys are turning on social media, it's kind of like Vogue magazine back in the day. They see all these jack guys, and I try to tell some guys, not everybody is natural. Some of these guys are on stuff, but you guys are sitting there looking at these 50, 60-year-old guys who are like literally jacked to the roof, and you're saying, oh, they're all natural. And the false advertisement is driving a lot of problems for younger, and I mean, athletes and men in our society. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, they're almost like experiencing what women have gone through over the years with magazines and everything, and kind of using the media to dictate how people should look. And the comparison trap, I'm still a victim of comparison trap, or victim. I don't want to use that mindset, but I still partake in comparing myself to people now and then, because it's just hard not to, because you just see it all day long on the feed. So it's resulted in guys who are in their teens to start looking at anabolic steroid use or SARMs to look the way a lot of these influencers do, which obviously can be detrimental to their health, but also not realizing how long, like if you think about Arnold and Frank Zane and, those guys, how long they would lift. Yeah. Like 10 years of actual lifting and eating and repeating it over and over again to produce a result. Whereas these kids are maybe a year into strength training, and now they want to hop on something to accelerate that, but they don't have the platform of discipline and consistency and even health to be able to even think about that stuff. So it does get into guys' heads, and body dysmorphia is a really big problem with a lot of men as well, because they'll send me profiles of this is what I want to look like. And I actually ask people that. I say, when you say you want to be ripped, what does that mean? Because it can mean something different to everyone. So for me, if you say I want to be shredded, I'm thinking, okay, at least a six pack, thick skin lean, veins on the abs. We're talking really lean. Sometimes guys think that's like a 4-pack to them, or just some muscle tone. So I have to understand what is the goal in your mind? Because the pathway to thick skin is way, way different than just seeing visible abs. And so they'll say, all right, well, I want to look like this guy. And then it's clearly somebody who's been lifting for 15 years and also is on other things in addition to TRT.
Supplements, right.
Yeah, supplements. So it's educating them on why this person may look this way, but also the time and the consistency and the effort that has to be put in order to develop that platform of strength and muscle, because it does take years of hard work.
No, I just wanted to ask a question. As we saw the picture earlier, how long have you been working out? That's a lot of work. Have you been like this for 20 years, or you just woke up one day and just fuck it, I'm going to work out? I mean, what's the story behind that?
Well, that was from a photo shoot 2 years ago, but the first time I walked into a gym, I was 15. So it was a long time ago. I can't say that I have been consistently training since then, However, that's when I first started getting into it. So I started because I played all sorts of sports. I actually started competing in road cycling in high school as well. So I naturally just was into being very active. And I was like, I need to strength train for this. And then obviously you get to college and we had to lift for soccer. And that was also my major. So I've been in a gym for years and I'm 42 now. So it's been quite a long time. I would say the amount of time I've actually dedicated to wanting to look a certain way aesthetically has been about 7 years.
We just had somebody else on. It's the controversy between lifting weights and cardio and not lifting weights. So, what was your take when you decided to really get into physical fitness and start lifting weights? Because I'm finding out as women get older, the more weightlifting they're doing, it's a lot better for them instead of just doing cardio and yoga all the time.
Yeah, it was like ingrained in our minds that cardio would make you smaller and leaner and petite and whatever. And men would always be afraid of that. So women would always benefit a lot more from strength training and men would benefit a lot more from cardio. Like I remember in college when we would have our team lift for soccer, all of us would sneak away to the campus gym to do cardio after for no reason because we play soccer. Like, why would we need more cardio? And we were in our minds,
marathon.
Yeah, like in our minds, somehow, like the weight training we just did, we would undo the bulkiness that might result from that. It was so stupid.
I tell my daughter that's playing soccer right now, because she's always in the gym lifting weights, and I'm like, sorry, go for it. I said it's gonna only help you down the road. Don't shy away from lifting weights because I'm almost 60 and I'm constantly in the gym, and then I tell her, this is something you got to do to maintain your health. Because I guess as I've gotten older, the one thing I say I work out all the time is because I want to be able to have fun with my grandkids at least a little bit before they become teenagers or get grown and don't need me anymore.
Exactly. And think about all of us could probably look at people we went to high school and college with and just be mortified at their condition.
Just go on Facebook if you still got it.
I mean, shit. Yeah. And it's like, you're like the outlier. It's like, oh, well, this is your profession. And I'm like, okay. But anyway, like
they're focused. So if you had any advice to give, first, how does anybody reach out to you if they want to get in contact with you and DM you to get you to give them a workout plan?
Instagram. Instagram's going to be the easiest way. That's where I live. So, yep, at the Ali Gilbert, ALI, for those who are not watching this, and just shoot me a DM. The links in my bio have everything. We're about Silverback Summit, Silverback coaching, any of my courses, applying for coaching, all of that stuff. So,
all right, Mike, before we roll out of here, Mike G, what do you got, man, on this cold, chilly day down in Tampa, Florida?
Give me a minute, man. I gotta get the mic going. I'm doing 300 things, guys. No, let me stop. Well, Ms. Ali, it's been great. Honestly, you're doing good. Like I always tell my guests, keep it going. You have nobody to tell you, nobody to stop you. You're an athlete. You're chiseled, of course. For 42, not bad, kid.
Thank you. Also, I heard you say Ali.
Oh shit! Did I say it wrong? Oh damn. Miss G, no, welcome on the show. It's good to meet you, and hopefully we can, stay in touch and to see how you progressing with your execution and your programs.
Thank you. I like you guys. You're fun.
So Ali, with everything before we get out of here, if you had to give some advice to your younger self, what would it be now?
To my younger self, it would probably be to try not to care about what other people think so much.
Oh, yeah. I think that's like 90% of our problem in our society is we're more worried about what the neighbors think than what our reality is. Hey, I appreciate you coming on the show. You dropped out some serious content and it helps because, hey, guys, we all got problems out there. And as you age, it comes along with the territory. Get some help. Do the right thing, and you hit a key point. I always tell people, don't lean on the illegal side. Always try to get something legal that can help you out down the road because illegal stuff can always have side effects. And with that being said, Miss Ali, I appreciate you very much and keep it.
Thank you.
Rolling.
I love it. Thank you guys so much.